carried me to streets of gold. Things aren't always as they seem. Looking back on all the chances that I missed, some I held, some slipped away. One street over where my memories exist, I wonder what would change, I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known, that would have kept me from the one I had today. Certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known, would have kept me from what I had today.
Good morning. Happy 4th of July, y'all. This is 1100 WSGI. I'm Utah Laverne. This is One Street Over. Surprise. Well, if you were listening yesterday, you knew that I was going to get up and do a show this morning. I like doing this, and it's 2 miles from my house. I mean, what do you do? But I just think days like 4th of July and special holidays for our nation, if we can, let's just take a moment to focus on the reason why we get a day off to barbecue and hang out with our friends and all of those things. And, we are the land of the free because of the brave. And I looked for my shirt that says that and I couldn't find it this morning. But I thought, well, let's do a patriotic show. And I have a friend, Aaron Lumpkin is in the house. Hello, sir. Get on that microphone and say hello.
Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Aaron Lumpkin. I have known you. How long have we known each other?
Probably since mid-90s.
I'd say somewhere in there. We go to church together up at the Madison Church of Christ. Our kids grew up together. We've got a long history.
Yeah.
Long history.
Oh yeah.
And it's one of those things when I thought about doing this show and doing something very patriotic. Not because he's got a song that he did that we're going to share with you, and that's got it's an American theme song. And so when I thought about that, I thought, well, not only that is I know that you're such a patriot yourself, and you love this country so much, because I've always seen you're like, red, white, and blue, and all. I've seen you do things and participate in patriotic type things. And so I know you've got this, this great love for our country. You play music. You're just got a very diverse background, and just I think you and I are on the same page when it comes to the good old US of A. Would that be fair?
Yes, I agree.
So, where do you want to start? I invited you to come in here. Did you come in? You've got some notes there. And I told you, I said, let's just talk about, I had Bill Jones in here yesterday. Bill is our local historian, and we just talked about memories of 4th of July, and what we did as a kid. There were fireworks and things like that, but, firecrackers, not crazy fireworks and stuff, but we would gather as family, and there were parades, those kinds of things. But what kind of memories do you have from 4th of July as a child? How about that? Because let's start there. Let's start there, and then we'll get into it. We got an hour, Aaron. We got some time here.
Okay.
So let's start there.
I was born in small town USA.
Yeah.
It's a little town called Cuthbert.
Where's that?
In southwest Georgia.
Okay. Well, you got that Georgia twang.
Right. People will know that immediately.
Uh-huh.
And everything was parades, good schools, and people got along and enjoyed life. as far as the 4th of July, barbecue was really big down in there. My daddy would get up and I would know he would be going to a place called Kersey's. You going to Kersey's, you get barbecue, Brunswick stew, and the family would get together, and life was good. You know, like I said, parades, bands, and people having good times. It was a different time, sort of, compared to today, but we'll move slowly into that.
We've been so blessed. I mean, our generation, you and I, we're about the same age, and our generation is so blessed. I grew up in an idyllic time. Now, that's not to say, I mean, if you know my story, it wasn't all good, but as a child, you know, I mean, it was just, it was, we got to play outside and do the things that our kids just are not. They just don't know. I feel so blessed to have grown up in the 60s and 70s.
Right.
Even with all the difficult things that I think our generation had to deal with. I'm talking Vietnam and all those things. But we still had a great love for our country. And see, I'm a teacher now. And one of the hardest things on Veterans Day last year, whenever they asked the children, you know, the kids to stand up and if you're proud of your country, and some of them didn't. You know, and I'm like, man, you just really don't understand the cost.
Right.
You know, so I mean, it was a different time, wasn't it?
It was, and I think patriotism has gone downhill some, and it's the greatest emotion that I learned was love. The emotion I feel the deepest is compassion for other people. That's what I like most about myself, especially for children these days, because you can see that innocence that we're talking about in the children. At church, I'll see the children running around with such an innocence that it just makes me feel so good to see them.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm hoping we can raise up great, I guess I'm kind of moving into the thing now.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Raise up great leaders, people who have courage and love to stand for the rights of people who, they used to call them statesmen. You don't hear that a whole lot now.
You know you don't, and that's a really good point.
But people who know how to talk to other people, people who have empathy, people who have true love for all people, but yet who understand what's going on. I mean, the world is not the world we grew up in, as you alluded to, but it is the world we live in.
Yeah.
But I'm particularly concerned that our children have a safe and prosperous country to grow up in as time goes by and in the future. And, you know, speaking of these raising up leaders, that may not happen right now. It's up to us. We've got to raise children with these values of love and compassion and helping others and realizing there are different kinds of people. People think differently. The world is changing drastically, but that doesn't mean that we can't make it a wonderful, fantastic place, safe place for everybody.
I love that you said that, because I hear a lot of people just kind of wringing their hands about the terrible times we're living in, and I think our best days are ahead. I really do. I know I do. I'm a very optimistic person because I know what God can do, and I place. I love. This is something I talked with Bill a little bit about yesterday. I love historical fiction. I love to read things that take me into a time period, and as long as they're done well. I mean, I don't like ones that are just silly and stupid, but there's some out there, but ones that they do their homework and they know the history of the time period. And so I'll read things from the Civil War. I'll read things from the Revolutionary War times. What was it like? You know, what was it like for those people who thought, is this going to be worth it? You know, and I think we have lost our sight on that. We certainly have. But so I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole before we go anywhere else. Though, you mentioned something when you were talking about your childhood and barbecue and stuff. You said Brunswick stew. What is that? You got to answer that question for me. What is that?
I would call
I've heard that, and I was like, What?
true Brunswick stew, comes from Georgia.
Comes from Georgia.
It's
all right.
I mean, it's all kinds of different
Okay.
variations. with it.
Okay.
But basically, I think it's chopped up. The meat's chopped up into a stew with corn and
Okay.
a few peas.
So ground
maybe.
beef and
No, well, the ground pork, whichever
Okay.
one you like.
okay. How funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's hard to find true Brunswick stew in my mind.
Okay.
In my
How
opinion.
funny. So do you know how to make it?
No.
Okay. Okay.
I just ate the good barbecue that people learned how to make over the years in
Yeah.
Georgia.
Oh, how funny. That's just so
Yeah.
funny. Because, I grew up in Kentucky, and I grew up on barbecue. Brunswick stew, not a thing. I've heard that, but there's somebody that I think that does a fundraiser where they have Brunswick stew, and I've never, and it's like, what in the world is that? But I think everybody has their definition, so I had to get your definition. We're talking with Aaron Lumpkin. He is a dear friend of mine. I've known him, feels like all my life. We figured out since the 90s, our kids grew up together, and we're part of the same family at Madison Church of Christ, and he has this song that I'm going to wait to play. I'm not going to play it right out of the gate here. It's called "What Happened to America's Glory." The title in of itself says, okay, I need to do a break, but when we come back, why the title you gave it? So maybe we unpack what's behind the title.
Okay.
Because that's, it's like, what happened to America's glory? Well, we're still glorious. But, so unpack the title for me, and then we'll continue on with the show. We're talking with Aaron Lumpkin as we pause for a moment on this 4th of July. Thank you for joining us. I want to talk about my wonderful sponsors that make this program possible. And let's start out with Cumberland Connect. This is the internet provider here locally. Now, we mentioned yesterday that unfortunately this building is not in the zone where it's covered by Cumberland Connect. You have to be a Cumberland Electric customer to get Cumberland Connect. So I'm sorry, Ebenezer Broadcasting, y'all can't have it. But if you're a Cumberland Electric customer, you can get Cumberland Connect, and they're going to be knocking on your door real soon. I think they're going to have. I need to get them on and just talk to them and see what the projected completion date to where all their customers will have access. We're getting close. I'd say probably this year, maybe first of next is what they're looking at. They're already at my house. I went from a 3.5 upload speed. I was paying $65 a month for terrible internet. I'm paying $80 now. I get an entire gig. I've turned off everything else. That's all I have now. I don't have Dish Network or any of that anymore. Turned it all off. I have a 600 upload speed. I'm a photographer and take a lot of pictures. I need that. All the things that we do out there as a teacher, I'm trying to work from home some because I've got so much studying to do. And I need it. It's amazing. I know it's a lot, but you can get a gig for $80. Why not? Join the gig club. Now, if you're somebody that says, that's a lot of money to me. Well, because internet is now a utility, they have an affordable connectivity program providing qualifying households with monthly credit to help pay for internet services. And if you're eligible, you could receive a credit of up to $30 per month toward broadband services. You want to know more? Give them a call at 800-987-2362, 1-800-987-2362, or go to cumberlandconnect.org, cumberlandconnect.org. Put in your zip code and it'll tell you exactly, well, they may already be in your neighborhood or when they'll be joining you. And I ask about an extender when they're out there. If you've got outbuildings like we do, we're going to run an extender or hardwire it, and it's just like $5 more a month, and then you'll have your outbuilding wired to the internet just like you do in your house. How cool is that? Cumberland Connect. When you contact them, please always let them know that U-Turn sent you. Aaron Lumpkin is in the building with me today, in studio with me, and we're talking about his song, What Happened to America's Glory. Now, this is not the first thing you've ever written, because how long have you been playing guitar? Get right up on that mic for me. Kind of center up on it.
Oh, off and on for 30, 40 years, I guess.
It seems like you've always played to me. I don't think I've ever known a time that I didn't know that you played and sang. When I was working at the Madison Church of Christ full-time, I'm still there part-time, but when I was working in the benevolence program and working with a lot of the Egyptian families, rounding up furniture and things like that for our newcomers to the country, I would go around and collect furniture, and there was a nursing home that I would frequently go by, and they would give us beds or furniture or stuff, and I went in there more than once, and you were in there singing to those folks, and I thought that was just the most precious thing, because they just loved it.
They did.
What a way to love on some people. Just go in and sing some songs for them. And when did you start doing that?
That was around 2014. I retired from the VA hospital in 2013.
Okay.
And so I did that 6 or 7 years, going to
Okay.
the nursing homes because they enjoyed it so much and it meant so much to them, and it just became a big part of what I did.
Right.
And when I retired, I also knew that I needed something to do too. So I also started
Absolutely.
studying piano to keep me busy, to give me a purpose. And I got more into songwriting.
Okay.
And so ultimately, I feel things deeply, like you said, for the country, for other people. And I began to have this idea that I need to do something. This country is not what I used to know. It's not what I'm used to. And so I began to have this idea to write a somewhat patriotic song. And I spent 3 or 4 years on it. I wanted to say what I thought was the right thing. It's somewhat rhetorical because I wrote it before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and you remember all the things we were going through,
Oh, yeah.
and I felt so distressed to see everything that was happening during that time. And you know what I mean when you think back on all that was going on. And so I started putting this song together. And songwriting is hard. You know, you really got to
can't
put a lot.
imagine trying to do
It
it.
takes a lot of effort to write it,
Yeah.
to show it to someone, to see if they will do it. And but I believe we were just beginning to lose the greatness that we used to have. The like I said, I talk about Martin Luther King, for example, in the song. He is probably my greatest hero, one of my greatest, because of what the courage it took to do what he did.
Right.
And he brought freedom to maybe to more people than anyone. He's really up there, and I mean all people. And I really admire him. And I thought about the people who went to the wars, both wars, and fought and gave their very lives so we could be where we are right now.
Yeah.
But what are we doing with it right now? Now there's a lot of good going on. Don't get me wrong. The world is changing in many ways. We're becoming more accepting of all people, and that's wonderful. But I think people need to start listening to each other again. I don't think we listen to each other, and I think we need to think for ourselves. I think that's one of the problems that we're having right now. And to bring back that glory that the United States stands for, being the #1 nation in the world. This is the time we have dreamed of.
For
This
sure.
is it.
Yeah.
But what are we going to do with it? Are we angry and divided and just full of contention, and or are we going to make each of us, or what can each of us do to change it to be the best it can be? That's all I want. I like to see. You know, I just want to encourage someone, raise your children up in a loving way. Maybe they will be a great leader. Let me slow down here a little bit.
No,
I
you're
know
fine.
I'm going at
No,
90.
absolutely. Absolutely.
think
I understand
about
what you're saying. Get right
Great
back.
leaders.
Yeah.
It often takes great leaders in history to help the people. We all have a purpose, I think, for being here. And going all the way back, whether it be politicians in the United States, people throughout the Civil War and history, or even in the Old Testament, great leaders like David, who brought people together because they had the charisma, the love, and the insight to help people understand what's going on.
something you said early on, but you said you just come back to love, and I think that's what we've lost. We've gotten to this place where we just, I don't know, we're so contentious with the differences in our understanding and what we think is the right way and all of this kind of thing, and then we forget that this is a Christian broadcast facility, and we get some Jesus all over you, and his message was a message of love. That doesn't mean that you have to say, oh, you're just, you don't have to put your stamp of approval on things that are not the way God wants people to live, but you can just love them. Just love them. You don't yell at them. You don't say stupid things. You don't make snide remarks. You just love them, and it's in that love that I think we come back around and, like you said, find our glory again.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So as we kind of unpack the question, I said, what happened to America's Glory? Is that kind of the whole point behind the song? When did you settle on the title of that song, of the song? What happened to America's Glory?
I let things sit with me, you might say.
Okay.
I'll write something and write lyrics, write a title, and then I'll get away from it for a few days and come back to it. And how does it sound? I mean, if you're going to put something out to a nation, you want it to be clear, relatively clear and concise.
Right.
And so that's how I write, because you will hear a song one day a certain way, and then 3 or 4 days later, you hear it another way, and you think, well, that doesn't sound right. It's not connecting. It's not adding up. And so that's why it took so long to try to make the song what I wanted it to be. And it's something that I feel good about, in the sense that when I'm gone, my time is winding down, this will be here for my grandchildren and other children, and they'll think about, well, what did this guy...
Exactly.
Who is this guy, and what was he trying to say?
Yeah.
When did he write this? What's the real meaning behind that? America is glorious, but we've lost some of that glory, and we have the talent in this country to get it back.
Oh, I agree.
I believe that with all my heart, but it's going to take courage. That's another thing. In his book, Profiles in Courage, President Kennedy said, courage is one of the major things you've got to have a successful country, a successful country again.
Right.
And he talks about compromise, as you were alluding to. We've got to compromise. The Congress, I think, needs to listen to each other and reach compromise, and everything will begin getting better.
And that's one thing. I think that the reason why the government is set up in the way it is so that they have to work together, and not one can come in heavy-handed and say, do this, do this, do this. That's called, it's the separation of powers thing.
Exactly.
And people have forgotten that. And we could go down a real big rabbit hole on how we think we got there. I think the fact that we elect our senators is one of the biggest issues, because we used to appoint our senators. That's something I talked with State Senator Kerry Roberts about the other day, and it started kind of undermining that separation of powers and things like that when we messed up how we put our senators in office in the federal level. And so there's all kinds of things. But I tell it, people will come to me because I'm a teacher now, and they're like talking to me about all the things that we need to fix within the education system. And I'm like, I understand what you're saying, but this is what we have that we've built, and we've got to work within those parameters and then work to fix it. But you can't just come in and you can't implode things. There are things that I want to change. You can't come in and just start and trying to completely upend things. You've got to help educate, like you said, make a song. It's like, hey, this is something that will touch your heart and tell you, what I'm thinking on my heart. Share your heart in love with others, and you know what? The change will come. The change will come if we'll be diligent about it, right?
Yeah, our system is set up, in, like you said, in such a way that no particular group is crushed.
Right.
It's a beautiful system.
When it works properly, there's some,
when it works properly,
yeah,
and you have great leaders. I'll go back to that every time.
Yeah.
people who are full of love for this country, and
Right.
I mean, just from the heart. That is so important.
You know, I love it when we have leaders that have served in the military. I just almost wish it would be a prerequisite that you have to have put on a uniform and fought for your country to serve in any kind of political office. I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. And I know some people will push back on that because some people say, well, you can't serve. But I think you just kind of get something whenever you've put that uniform on. And I did not. So I wouldn't have ran for Congress, you know, if that had been. Did you serve in the military?
I did.
I thought you did. In what
did.
branch?
Army,
Army.
right?
Thank
I
you
was
for your
drafted
service.
in '71. Thank you.
Goodness. So you were right there at the
Vietnam era.
Wow. Did you go to
No,
Vietnam?
I did not.
So you were right there at the tail end of it.
Right.
My friend Kenneth, he was in the late 60s when he went in. And I mean, he was there 6 months and got killed. But I had a dear friend that was our hired hand that died in Vietnam. That's probably, I think that is the single reason why I've always been a patriot. And because whenever I would see people that would say disparaging things about Vietnam, it just angered me. I was a little bitty kid, you know, and when they would say, I was like, how dare you? Kenneth died there. He died for that. And whether, you know, talk to me about the nuances of why we were there and all that, I don't care. My friend gave his life because he was drafted and he said, okay, he served. He didn't go to Canada. He served. And he paid for it with his life. And so that taught me early on that there's a price. And I'll never forget his funeral. And he was under glass because, you know, they'd brought him in. I'll never forget it. And I've understood the price for the reason why. That's the reason why we have that, you know, at the church, we have a board that has the names of those who have served. Are you on that board? On our military board there by the elevator?
I don't think I am.
Well, you need to get me all
I'm
your
not really
particulars.
Sure, but
Well, because I was going to say, because I put all those up while I was
Okay.
full time at the church, and we want to honor anybody in the church who's served, because you know it's such an ultimate service, and then we also on Memorial Day will remember our Gold Star families and the ones who have lost somebody in their family in service, and we've got quite a few of them, and we find about more, you know, all the time. But you know, I don't know where I'm going with this. I went down a rabbit hole for a second. I tend to do that. That's the reason I do that, is because of my love for Kenneth and knowing
Right.
the sacrifice and having such a love for the military is the reason why I was like, hey, can we do this? Can we honor these people in this big, massive campus we have here at the church? Can we just over here in the corner just say, hey, let's remember these people who've served?
we just picture
You know.
people in battle.
Yeah.
Like World War II, Normandy. And all they gave, all they had to pay for us.
Yeah.
And we should appreciate that to heaven and back.
You better believe it. For sure.
That's just, and I think, again, it's so important, I think, that I think each of us can do something, add a little bit more courage to the mix, a little more understanding, and see the bigger picture, and we can change things for the best.
Amen. Amen. Aaron Lumpkin is my guest. He's a lifelong friend of mine. We've been friends since the 90s, we figured out. Our kids, again, went to school together. We go to church together. He's part of my church family at Madison Church of Christ. And he has a song we're going to play when we come out of this break. We'll go ahead and we'll play it here at the bottom of the hour. But I need to pause and do another break. One of our wonderful sponsors here at One Street Over. We appreciate them so much, Veterans Motorplex. I tell you guys, be sure and follow them on social media, because that is where Jerry puts up everything going on at the Speedway. Now, you'll go to Highland Rim Speedway to find their page. They kept, whenever Jerry took it over and renamed it Veterans Motorplex, he kept that social media page because they had so many thousand followers. And so he kept that page, and there you will find everything that's going on. Now, they had some wind damage I guess it was Friday afternoon. So they had to cancel the races because of damage to the grandstand. So they canceled the races last weekend, and they were going to have a test and tune, but then they ended up canceling that as well because they had another line of storms coming in. But my point is, plan to go to the races, but always check the social media page if you think the weather might be iffy, and Hugh will put it out there immediately as soon as he knows what the schedule is going to be. Maybe they'll have a delay of race or something like that, but they pretty much race every Saturday up here at Veterans Motorplex. It's the old Highland Rim Speedway. They're at 6801 Kelly Willis Road in Greenbrier. And if you have questions for Jerry, just give him a call at 615-643-8725, 615-643-8725. Follow them on social media. You'll find all kinds of fun little programs that they do. They do interviews and all kinds of fun stuff with some of our local heroes. They do just an outstanding job with their page and their program and all the things they bring. Just a lot of fun to our county. They got a great concession stand, fun activities for the kids. They'll do big wheel races. And I keep showing you this magazine from my friends at the Keenan Group, Let's Talk Trash magazine. On the back page, they put this out at the end of the school year. But on the back page, this is a $40 value. You can take this back page anytime during the 2023 season, and it will get in up to 6 kids and 2 adults for free. This back page is very valuable. You can still find some of these around. Just keep your eyes out for them. But check this out, and that way you can go to the races for free, and you're going to fall in love with it. And when you get out there, be sure and let them know that U-Turn sent you. And let's get back into the program. We are going to play the song for you. Well, I want you to tell them a little bit about, okay, this is, you can get this on all music platforms, right? And this is called What Happened to America's Glory with the Trevecca Nazarene University. Okay, explain that. Because, I mean, you've got some big voices on this thing. So talk to me about how all that happened.
When I wrote the song,
hang on just a minute. It might help if I turned your microphone up.
When I wrote the song, I knew I wanted it to have a big sound.
Right.
You know, one of those
yeah.
kind of things.
Yeah.
I didn't want it to be just a band, a simple bass and a guitar singing.
Yeah.
I knew it needed a little more oomph to it. So
right.
I thought about
get right on your mind.
Colleges.
Yeah.
And so I got in touch with, I heard that Trevecca Nazarene had a good music program. So I contacted them, and to my good fortune, one of the presidents out there decided they would record the song. And it was just
fun.
You know, sometimes things just go right, and it just ultimately went right, and they got in the studio. It's the Department of Commercial Music at Trevecca Nazarene University, and did the song, and this is what came out of it. But I also, in my mind, I wanted people who might be optimistic and full of love and youthful, you know.
Yeah.
Might put a little attitude with it, you know.
I got you.
So, and that's how it came about. You know, I was just thrilled when I found out they were going to do it, and ultimately, I think it turned out very well.
When did you produce this?
It was the last 6 months or so that we've gone through the process. It you know, it's hard to get things like that done.
Oh yeah.
Get people together and get them music to them and let them learn the song. There's a lot to getting a song out, as all songwriters and artists and musicians know. There's a lot of work.
I've known Dr. Wilson with Greenbrier. He leads our music department, and I'm thinking that's where he was at Trevecca, I think. And I was just wondering if he was involved in it. But if it was in the last 6 months, he's been at Greenbrier since fall of last year. So I didn't know if you've done it just in the last 6 months.
Right.
But yeah, and just that's an amazing music program there. It really is. Really is. Well, without further ado, let's just go ahead and we went through some hoops to get this on because it's on Spotify and all that kind of thing. So I believe everything's going to work perfectly. And let's listen to What Happened to America's Glory, featuring the Trevecca Nazarene University and written by Aaron Lumpkin. Here we go.
In 1941, a great nation went to war. brave Americans fought and died for everyone. They bought us all our freedom through the sacrifice. Now freedom stands on sinking sands. There is no compromise. And while we watch with broken hearts, freedom slowly dies. What happened to America's glory? Her majesty, her grandeur and boldness. The children wonder why we're drifting apart, while the answers are hidden in our hearts. In 1968, Dr. King had a dream. Children would one day live in harmony. He taught us peaceful ways, but division fills our days. There's no melody, no harmony, no unity inside. And while we watch with heavy hearts, we see a fading light. What happened to America's glory? Her majesty, her grandeur and boldness. The children wonder why we're drifting apart, while the answers are hidden in our hearts. What happened to our love for each other? What happened to our patriotic fervor? Where are the heroes who stand for love and truth, who fight for the rights of everyone? What happened to America's glory? Her majesty, her grandeur and boldness. The children wonder why and hang their heads to cry, while the answers are hidden in our hearts. While the answers are hidden in our
Outstanding. What happened to America's glory? Again, that's the Trevecca Nazarene University, written by Aaron Lumpkin, or Aaron Lumpkin. You know, I was looking up here and I was like, James Aaron Lumpkin. All of a sudden, it threw me for a second. I was like, what? What is that? So anyway, that threw me for just a minute. But Aaron Lumpkin, you'll see James Aaron Lumpkin on the credits on this song. This is my friend Aaron that wrote this and has been working on it for a couple of years. Like you said, really the idea came pre-COVID, and as you're going through all the hostility that we've seen, as I'm sitting there listening to that, and just that message of like, what happened to us?
Right.
It's just like, it's really what happened to us? What happened to us? And that's what that's about. And I just think, I write, but I write books and things like that. And I know you do that too. And I want you to tell people how to find that. But to be able to put it into song, what a gift for your family. Above all, that's the thing for your family. And just again, for whoever will listen to it, I imagine they'll be using this at Trevecca, and and get it on out there. Have you seen some traction with it? Have you had some feedback from it?
Yeah. Here I've seen some. It's just came out the 30th, so
Right.
it's moving slowly, but we're getting feedback. Yeah.
But very good. And I mean, it's one of those that'll.
You never know.
Well, and it's one
what
of
could
those
happen.
that's timeless, really, because
Right.
we go through these times always.
Right.
Any country goes through its ups and downs and issues, but it just really speaks to where we are as a nation. Is like, what happened to us? Why do we are we so at each other's throats and things like that?
Exactly.
And especially
That's
on a day
exactly
like
right.
today, man, just chill out, settle down.
And addressing what you say,
Yeah.
I wanted to say, I believe that nobody has all the answers to life.
Right.
I think
Me
too many
either.
people think I know the truth and nobody else knows what's going on. I think that is one problem. If you
Yeah.
haven't tested every possibility in the universe, you simply don't know all the answers. Mm-hmm. And I think that's important to realize, so that we can. I don't know all the answers. I'm just another person walking this earth, but I know we have the talent. I mean, we have people who shine in this country, and we can, if we work together, we can do amazing things. I know that.
That's why.
But it takes working together and somehow coming to some kind of consensus.
That's why I'm so excited to be in the school system and to have an opportunity to just talk to these kids and just remind them I tell my kids all the time, you have no idea what's ahead of you. You have got that you're living in the most amazing time. You can do anything you want to do. I can't imagine. I think back on my childhood, and if I had had access to all the stuff that they have access to, oh my goodness. Can you imagine? Because you're an artist. You write and do, because you and I do, we have a lot of the same kind of, I can't write a song. I've tried. It just don't come to me. But as far as I love music, I like to play music, and I like this broadcast stuff and writing and all that. If I'd had access to all the things that they have access to, now, oh my goodness, I would have had some fun. But
That's another thing we can do is appreciate. Excuse me for
oh no, you're fine. Absolutely, go right ahead.
computers, the sound at a movie theater, the downloading files, and it's amazing.
Okay,
but we don't appreciate it.
Let me share something with you that we shared yesterday. This is there's one of the y'all know because you're friends of mine, so y'all know I listen to a lot of different preachers and things like that. So there's one that I follow. His name's Jason Ball, and he's at Centerpoint Church up in Hendersonville. And he did a lesson on Father's Day, and something he mentioned, he was talking about, or I guess maybe, no, I don't think it was Father's, maybe it's the one after that, but nonetheless, I digress. He was talking about how that knowledge has changed. There was a study that was done back in, I think, 1982, that this guy did, and he said that his name was Buckminster Fuller, did this study called the Knowledge Doubling Curve. And he did a study on how fast knowledge will double and how fast it did in the past. So you're talking about the time we're living in and the possibilities, and you look at all the information that's out there. So when he did this study, he found out that from the 1400 to 1900, the knowledge of the earth would double every 100 years because you got to share information. If I discover something, I have to share it, and it has to go, and it takes time. So then in 1945, as we started being better at communicating, and you started having broadcast airways, things like that, it doubled every 25 years. And then around the 80s, when the digital age started, where you can take what you have written there and you can digitize it and put it out there, and it's like, I've learned this. Here's this. You have the digital era started, and so in the 80s, it became every 12 months that the knowledge of the earth doubled. Now, do you care to guess how fast it doubles now? 12 hours. 12 hours. That's the point I make to the students. It is amazing what you have at your fingertips. You have to discern. You were talking about truth, and not all of us all understand that. You've got to be able to discern what really is truth, though. That's the thing. You can go online because there's so much out there. You can go online and find, somebody saying yes, trying to verifying what you want to believe. It's that information bias, and we've got to get beyond that. And I think that information bias is kind of what's divided us in many ways as a country, because we just is like, this is what I believe, and they said so too, and they said so too, and they said so too, and it's like, well, what's the foundation of that? What is the background of that? Is that true? Do you have,
I think you're exactly right. You're hitting on all cylinders.
But, well, you too. And I think that as I'm listening to your song and the message that you're bringing, that's what kind of comes back to. And this has been the theme for the last couple of days is, guys, we're living in a time that is like no other. And it is amazing. And our best days are ahead of it. But we got to find our love for each other. That's where you started, talking about the love that we have, promoting that. Absolutely. Yes. Share the truth. Share what you know. Make sure that what you're sharing is true, and keep asking questions and just loving on each other. And my goodness, our best days are ahead, I think.
One thing that amazes me is how bright today's children are. Talking about that knowledge thing, they are so bright.
Yeah.
I mean, kids, when I grew up, they thought, if you will, on a slower level, but they got so much knowledge and things to see, and they're so bright and charismatic, and I see some kids that just amaze me.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of kids, before we run out of time,
go right ahead.
One of my greatest motivations is kids.
Yeah.
I got 3 nieces in South Georgia, and I worship the ground they walk on. And I know they got to live in this country. That's what I think. As I said earlier, these children are going to be here.
Yeah.
I won't, but they will. And I'm going to make a video. I haven't made it yet, but I want to read what I wrote to my yet unborn grandchildren who have not even been conceived.
I think that, yes, Judy's, his bride's over here in the corner giggling, and she's like...
She's trying to tell me something.
Yeah. It's like, okay, Josh, get going. That's her son.
That possibility exists.
Yes, it does.
And I look ahead, I feel deeply and richly. Like I said, that's one thing I like.
Well, let's hear it. I want to hear this, Aaron. That'd be great.
My grandchildren, I love you so much already, and you haven't been conceived. I know your parents will shower you with love and encouragement. You are a part of the stream of our family and the unfolding history of the world. Become all you're capable of being. Write, sing, dance, laugh, serve others. Be strong and courageous. Life is a wonderful mystery, and no one has all the answers. Seek the meaning of life with everything in you. But remember, loving others is the secret. Some people have to struggle so much in this life, and they need help. And the greatest feeling in life is the love and compassion you will feel for others, and the feeling you have when you help them. And when you have children, make them the most important people in the world next to God and Jesus. They will be the next generation, and the flow of life will continue.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, Aaron. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. There you go, Josh. That's their son. So I'm telling you. Anyway, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. So I love that. I love that. I get so tickled. Judy's my dear, dear friend over in the corner. And as I was listening to that song, I thought, I wonder how many times Judy's heard this song. I wonder how many times. How does this sound, Judy? Right? Am I right? I know, because I do my husband that way. I'm constantly rereading stuff to him and sharing stuff with him. He's like, just write it down.
When I met my wife, or the beautiful girl who was to become my wife. She changed my life. That was a major
Yes, she did.
turning point in my life. I would not be the man I am without my wife.
She's pretty special.
And I love her to the moon and back, and
Yeah.
she has a large factor in me being the man that I am, and her family also.
That's wonderful. We love her too. We love her too. She's hiding in the corner over there. This would be a good place for me to pause and take another break, y'all. Let's talk about my friends, Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center. I have arthritis, y'all. I was talking to Aaron and Judy when we sit down, and I've got this watch now that tells me all the steps I'm taking and all the stuff I'm burning. And so my kids are all coming over today, and we've got some family coming over today. And so you know how you do. You get out and you work, and I did a lot of steps and burned some calories. But man, it makes my body hurt because I've got arthritis so bad. And because, Corbin Creek, they carry local CBD. And my doctor who replaced my hips told me, he said, you need to get on CBD. And I thought that stuff was snake oil. I didn't put any credibility to it. But then when your doctor tells you to look into it, you think, okay, well, who do I talk to? 2 days later, Amy was telling me about all the things she was going to have. And this has been a couple of years ago now. 2 days later, she was telling me about all the things that she was going to have at the farmer's market. And she goes, oh, we'll have our CBD products. And I was like, really? And so because it's, they produce it out of the plants her brother Bill grows, you know exactly what you're getting. So if something natural that can help you with anything to do with inflammation, another good friend of mine, Mary, she makes quilts and just does beautiful stuff. But she uses the ointment on her hands, and it helps her tremendously with that. My mom uses CBD products. It's amazing the difference it has made for me, and it may be a game changer for you. So I just use this time to say, go check out Corbin Creek Greenhouse. Go in their store there. When you go out to buy she's got beautiful plants up here, some hydrangeas that are just absolutely gorgeous. Go out and see all the wonderful things that they have. You just go through their Facebook page, Corbin Creek Greenhouse and Gifts, and you'll find all the beautiful things that they have for your yard, your garden, all of those things. But when you're there, don't neglect going in the store and seeing the handcrafted items they have from Miss Jane. All my pot holders and things like that come from there now. But they've got their CBD products, and ask questions, and they'll fill you in and talk to you about the science behind it. But it's great stuff, and it works well. And if you want to know more, go and see them. 4920 Highway 161 in Springfield. You can give them a call, 615-3843-185, 615-3843-185. And when you do, let them know that U-Turn sent you. And as we continue on talking with my friend Aaron Lumpkin, he is the writer of the song. I want to remind you to go check this out. It's called What Happened to America's Glory. It'd be a good day for you to download that song, What Happened to America's Glory, and just share that with others. It's just got a message of what happened to us, man, and we need to get back on track. And it's love is the answer. Love is the answer, pure, plain, and simple. And I love that you're going there. All my Bible studies and things that are just coming right back to that. It's in the love. It's in the love. It's in the love. And that's what Jesus was all about. It's about the love. It's about the love. And because when you love people, that's when you get to share with them why you have this love in your heart. And so that's where the gospel message starts. And what else do you want to bring to us here? We got about 8 minutes. I got one more commercial to do. What have we missed here, Aaron?
I was just thinking that I just want to say all of us have the potential to grow and change. Mm-hmm. I've seen it in my own life. I was a relatively shy guy before I married Judy, and struggled with, some of the shortcomings that people struggle with. Mm-hmm. And when I married her, I found a new lease on life, if you will. And I started seeing life differently. Mm-hmm. And I began to write books about it. I mean, it was a fire in my soul. Yeah. That I've got to say this. The first book was called You Can Be Positive, Confident, and Courageous. Mm-hmm. But I was telling myself, but the book is trying to convince people that life can be good. We are not stuck where we are. That
Amen.
Hope is the lifeline to the future.
You better believe it.
And life just became such a rich, rewarding experience. And I went on to write a couple of other books, and I began to grow and to change and to become a better man. And here's where I am today, and I'm in my 70s.
Are you? I thought y'all were my age. Okay.
And what we do matters, and we need a purpose. We need a reason to live and to give. And I just want to encourage people to know it's possible. I've overcome so many shortcomings in my life, and it's been a long, long ride, I tell you. But
Amen.
Today I'm happy, and I love life, and I'm so thankful that I got to have the experience of life. And
Amen.
it was a phenomenal change that I made. Judy and her family loved me and encouraged me. And it was almost the first time I'd ever got a lot of encouragement. And it makes that much difference.
Yeah, it does. Just that positive. Oh, I tell people all the time. I mean, I take so seriously being around those young people in school, and trying. And sometimes some of them are little knuckleheads, and you just want to just sit down, But you just got just trying to put some positive spin on their life, because you don't know what's going on with them at home. Just to be some encouragement and just that safe place for them, just to be be real. And I take that so seriously. I do. We're going to run out of time, and I do have one more break that we need to do. We're talking with Aaron Lumpkin. So if you have anything that we haven't shared that you want to share, we'll do on the back side of this. But I do need to speak one more time about one of our sponsors, and I want to remind you guys. I'm going to see if I can quick pull up what's going on in Cross Plains. My friends Barry and Rebecca Richards, and they're up in Cross Plains. They've been there for over 27 years, I think they've been there. But they are going to be having a 4th of July celebration today. Let me see if I can find the information on this real quick. Yes, this is happening today at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock this morning, you can go up to Cross Plains, go to Kilgore Park, and they are going to have a 9 a.m. Kilgore Remembrance. And they're going to have, and it's going to be at the Villains Cemetery, just west of downtown, Villines, and I know it's not Villainous Cemetery, just west of downtown. Guest speaker is going to be Cody Ingelaw, and I know I'm butchering that name, but nonetheless, they're going to do a Kilgore Remembrance at 9 a.m. this morning. For 4th of July. And then at Kilgore Park, they're going to have a big celebration tonight, and they're going to do some fireworks, I believe. But yes, they are. They're going to do fireworks, but that's going to start at 6 p.m. So big 4th of July celebration, Kilgore Park. You want to be a part of this. And I know Barry and Rebecca have had a lot to do with putting this on. So I just want to kind of use their spot time to go ahead and promote that. But also remind you, if you want a great couple to help you out in the real estate community, they're it. They're awesome folks, good friends of mine, been friends of mine forever. But Barry and Rebecca Richards, they're with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team, and they want to invite you to come and talk to them, whether you're buying or selling. If you're at the table and you need help, he's a marketer. He came out of a marketing background. You cannot ask for anybody better to be on your team if you're trying to sell property than a marketer that knows how to get your property out there and get the top dollar for it. Rebecca, one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist. She crosses every T and dots every I. That's what that means. She's always studying. But you can connect with them at sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or buy robertsoncounty.com. They specialize in Robertson County properties because they're one of us, but they also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. And you can call them 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. Always let them know U-Turn sent you. Okay, and one thing I do want to take note of, everybody knows I'm involved with Celebrate Recovery. Epiphany Baptist Church is having their Celebrate Recovery tonight, and because they always do on Tuesday night, but a lot of people say, what's 4th of July? Are you going to cancel? And Matt said, nope. Now, I can't be there. I'm usually there with them as well because I got family with me all day today, but I know that some of the band's going to be there. And they're going to come together, and it's basically, if you want a place to go that you're not going to have to worry about there being alcohol, anything like that, you just want to gather with some people, Matt's saying, come on out. So they're going to be at Epiphany Baptist Church they're not going to have dinner, but at 6:30 tonight, they're going to go on with their Celebrate Recovery tonight, even though it's the 4th of July, and they're just going to love on you. And so go and be a part of that at Epiphany Baptist Church here in Springfield. Okay, Aaron Lumpkin, what are our parting thoughts as we wrap up our time together on this 4th of July?
Well, I wanted to say, coming off what you said, I go to Celebrate Recovery, and it's made me a better man.
Right.
It's just a program available if people have any kind of
Hurts, habits, and
habits,
hang-ups.
hang-ups they're struggling
Yeah.
with. I can
Yeah.
vouch that it's one of the best organizations, and it's meant a lot to me.
Well, and I appreciate all that you guys do to help us bring it to Madison, and it's just an amazing program. So, yes, if you have not figured some of the stuff you were talking about, that first book you wrote, what's the title?
You can be positive, confident, and courageous.
Well, see, that's like the foundations of CR right there. As soon as you said that, I thought, well, that sounds like something you would use at CR. But you know, because you can be, you can
Right.
get over the hurts, habits, and hangups of life. Go ahead.
I believe there are no ordinary days. Each day is a magical opportunity to try again.
like
You can
that.
do it. I'm telling you, if you want it bad enough, anybody, I don't care where we are, we can overcome and find the greatest joy life has
Amen.
to give.
Amen.
And that's what I encourage everyone to do.
There are no ordinary days. You need to sell that and put that on a sign. I like that. I think I need to put that on a sign and hang it over my door. There are no ordinary days. I love that, truly. I love that, Aaron. That's awesome. Thank you
It's
so
true.
much. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
And
Happy 4th.
Happy 4th of July,
Let
you guys.
freedom ring.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Judy, hiding over there in the corner. Check out the song, What Happened to America's Glory, featuring the Trevecca Nazarene University, written by Aaron Lumpkin. You'll see James Aaron Lumpkin. You'll know you have the right song. Go and check it out. Happy 4th of July, guys. And don't forget, we are the land of the free because of the brave. And pay honor to those who have paid the ultimate price for our freedom. Where tomorrow is Veterans Day, or we have our Veteran Service officers will be in here tomorrow for the first Wednesday of the month. I will be here. Looking forward to seeing you then. This is 1100 WSGI. God bless. Have a great day.
Sometimes I think that you